All right, I was asked if there are no opportunities in FBO for HubZone, why should someone even bother registering for HubZone? And that's a good question, and I will address that now. We go to fbo.gov and we go to the advanced search form, and we scroll down and click HubZone and search. We'll see that the government does put out some contracts that are HubZone set aside, primarily for commodities, stuff that they buy on a regular basis, cable assembly, hinges, more cables, wire rope, more cable, armor headed. So basically this is primarily commodities that they're using, that they're putting out for HubZone set-asides. Excuse me. If it's not a commodity and it's not something the government buys on a regular basis, they're not even going to bother putting it out for bid in a HubZone, because there's so few HubZones that are registered. The likelihood of them putting it out for bid and someone bidding on it is not. There's only 4,100 HubZones worldwide that are active right now. So for a purchasing agent to put out something that's not a commodity and put it out for bid for a HubZone vendor would be a waste of time, because most HubZone vendors are not even going to reply, because there's typically not a HubZone vendor in that area that's compliant. Most HubZone contracts that you'll see in the FPDS where they track set-asides are not done as an open bid. They're done as a sole source. So for example, if we go to fpds.gov and we search HubZone, there's 1,154,967 awards in the system under HubZone. This system tracks less than 10% of the total spending. So if we're seeing 1,154,000 contracts for HubZones in here, there's close to over 10 million that have been awarded, 11 million that have been awarded. We're just not seeing them. If we look at one of those, for example, click the view link on this one, was awarded most recently, and we scroll down, we'll see that it was done as a sole source. There was only one offer received. It was not put out for bid. It was a HubZone set aside. It was originally put out full and open competition for HubZone, but no one bidded on it. So they came to this vendor for dam removal. They asked them for a quote. The price was fair. They hired him for $312,000. So just because you don't see a lot of stuff in FBO that's open for bid for HubZone does not mean there's not plenty of HubZone contracts out there. And you'll see by obligation, it can be very profitable to be a HubZone vendor. This is a $69 billion contract. That's a $538 million contract, $227 million contract. This one was awarded to a $6.2 million company. They were given $82 million up front. This wouldn't have happened 5 years ago. But because they're pushing these set-asides and they're trying to meet this small business and this HubZone and 8A and service-disabled veteran, woman, minority-owned criteria, they're awarding contracts that are far bigger than the awardee than the awardee's income from the previous year. And this is a prime example. They gave these guys $82 million to start an $886 million contract. And this company only did $6.2 million the year before as a HubZone vendor. I mean, that's mind-boggling. They did $6.2 million in revenues, and overnight, they're an $82 million company. So this is why it's important to be registered as a HubZone vendor, even though you don't find many opportunities in FBO under HubZones. You'll find some, but not as many because most HubZone contracts are sole sourced. Any questions on HubZones?
John, can you define sole sourced?
A sole source is a type of simplified acquisition, also called single source, which means there was only one offer received. They went to a sole source, they got a quote, the price was fair, they hired them, they did it as a sole source. It's a type of simplified acquisition. And a lot of your HubZone, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, please go ahead.
A lot of your HubZone, a lot of your 8A, and a lot of your service disabled veteran-owned contracts you'll see are done as simplified acquisitions as a sole source or a single source, because there's just simply not enough small businesses that meet that criteria that are compliant within the service area to even bother putting it out for bid.
Okay, for the sole solicitations, they're not going out to RFQ, RFP for it. They're just going to individual vendors they already have a relationship with or know of.
They're either going in the HubZone system and searching to see what vendor is in that area that's compliant, and then contacting them and getting a quote. And if the price is fair, they don't have to get the second quote anymore. The rule of two is no longer mandatory. So you guys know as well as I do, when you tell people in general they don't have to do something, they're not going to do it. And you know, not to talk bad about people, but a lot of government employees are lazy. You know, they do the bare minimum they have to. They don't go out of their way. They have a job, they do it. That's it. They're not going to go above and beyond the call of duty because they don't have to.
Okay, thank you.
People in general are lazy, and when you tell someone they don't have to do something, they're not going to do it. If you look at the it's not stats, facts. Excuse me. This is a letter from the Obama administration back in 2012 where the rule of two used to be mandatory and they made it optional. The rule of two is no longer mandatory. It's been this way since 2012. And again, you tell people they don't have to do something, most of them aren't going to do it. And that's why a lot of these contracts you'll see in the system, and you click the view link and it actually loads. It takes a minute. And that's why exactly right here with this one I just showed you under dam removal, number of offers received, 1. You're going to see that a lot because it's no longer mandatory to get a second quote. Any other questions on HubZones or simplified acquisition or sole source or single source? Okay. Has anybody just joined us that has a bid or solicitation or proposal they want to work on? I swear I got one today. Donna, are you in? Benjamin, are you in? AML has one, but they're not in right now.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on with that. I woke up, I was like, man, can't do this. Chase, you won, I voted for Hillary. First shot. Wow, she voted for Hillary. I'll do better.
John?
Yes.
I had a quick question. I just now sent you a solicitation number on a bid, and it's actually, let me go ahead. Okay, I sent it to you through chat. I was looking at it, and even though I'm looking at this, that I couldn't go after this as a prime, but how about a sub?
Let me pull it up and I can tell you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So you're saying you don't think you could do this as a prime, but you would want to do work on this as a subcontractor, or you would want to sub it out as the prime to other subs?
Working as a subcontractor.
Okay. If you want to work as a subcontractor to the prime, but you have no interest on bidding on it and subbing it out as the prime, you just want to be notified when it's awarded so you can offer that prime to do work for them as a subcontractor?
Yes.
The best thing to do, number one, click Watch the Opportunity so it's on your watch list.
Okay.
What is my new password? I'm going to pause you guys for a minute, pull my password up.
Okay.
We do Under the Bridge. I heard about it. Never saw it. Okay, you guys should be back. And I am logged in now. So whenever you want to be notified when a contract's awarded so you can offer to do services as a subcontractor, the best thing to do is go to the opportunity, click Watch This Opportunity, so it puts it on your watch list. When it's on your watch list, you're supposed to be noted. Now, it doesn't always happen. Not every purchasing agent does their job the way they're supposed to, so it's not 100% foolproof. But 99% of the time, if you're on the watch list, you will be notified when it's awarded and who it's awarded to. The irony of it is that when you're notified that it's awarded, more than likely, they haven't even notified the awardee yet. The reason why they'll do that is because as soon as they award something, they contact everybody who it wasn't awarded to, and they notify them immediately because they want you to stop calling them and stop emailing them and asking them about information. Since it's been awarded, you'll leave them alone. It could take a couple of days before they actually process that and post it in the system and make it an award. And it could be another couple of days before they actually reach out to the awardee and notify them that it's been awarded. Therefore, if you're on the watch list and you've been notified that something's awarded, and you contact the awardee and you say, hey, congratulations, you won that contract. I'd like to do work for you as a sub. That might be the first time they've heard about it, which it happens a lot. So on the other foot, if you happen to be a bidder on a contract and it's awarded to you and everybody else is notified and you get phone calls and emails out of the blue from people saying, hey, we'd like to work for you as a sub, more than likely you've been awarded, you just haven't been notified yet. And that happens. I've had clients call me up and say, man, that's the strangest thing. I just got 4 or 5 people in a row called me, said they wanted to do work for me as a sub. One guy told me that I was awarded, but I haven't been notified yet. Congratulations, you won it. You just haven't been told by the purchasing agent. And, you know, it's kind of neat in a way. But it's not a guarantee that if you're on the watch list that you're going to be notified. So there's several ways to go about this. Number one, add yourself to the watch list by all means, because that's the best way. The second way is to go ahead and add yourself to the interested vendors list, because that's the second reason why you should be contacted and notified that it's been awarded, and you can contact that awardee. You can see that on the interested vendors right now, it's just me, because I just clicked it, and one other business. So there's not a whole lot of competition on this opportunity, even though she might not even be on there because she's bidding. She might be on there because she wants to be notified when it's awarded to do work as a sub. The other option you have, unfortunately, the most fail-safe, secure way is to copy the solicitation number and put it on your calendar every morning for the next 2 months. And every day when you come into work, log in and check it and see if it's been awarded. That's the most for sure way, just to check it every day. But other than that, watch list, interested vendors list, those are the 2 best ways. Now, when you're ready to approach an awardee about doing work for them as a subcontractor, if you take my advice, you know, I give my advice and I give my knowledge and my skills, and a lot of people use it. A lot of people do what I say verbatim, but I get
Federal procurement.
I'm going to mute everybody so we don't hear any background noise. If you guys have a question, just send me a question in the message and I'll unmute you. What was I saying? Oh, being notified when contracts are awarded. The funny part is that, no, I already covered that. I'm sorry. How to approach a prime once it's been awarded. If you take my advice and do it my way, trust me, I give you advice not just because it's my opinion, because my clients have taught me that it worked for them. I've been here since 2009. I've learned from my clients what worked for them. I've learned, you know, when I've failed, I've learned from it, and I've failed many, many, many times. Trust me, I'm not perfect, and I don't know everything. Okay, but when I tell you guys to do something a certain way, it's because that's the best way I've found to do it, based on trial and error, based on it actually working for clients. So having said that, when I approach a prime to do subcontract work, the first thing I play on is their emotions. I play on their pride. So when I call up, let's say XYZ company won this contract. Well, their DUNS number, it's going to say award. It's going to say XYZ company. It's going to say how much it was awarded for, and it's going to show their DUNS number. So the first thing I do is, let me actually go to an award so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's an award. It says award notice. It says when it was awarded, contract award number, how much it was awarded for, the DUNS number of the company it was awarded to, the name of the company it was awarded to. So I want to approach Brown Helicopter and offer to do work for them as a subcontractor. The first thing I need to do is find out who I need to talk to at Brown. So I'm going to take their DUNS number. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go to one of two primary systems. I'm either going to go to SAM, which I use last case scenario because it's kind of a pain. I always go to Binks first. Because if Binks is working properly, it's the easiest way to search. Used to be you could just go to Binks. Now you got to go to cage.dla.mil. And some days it works, some days it doesn't. Today's one of those days it's not going to work. So I'm going to go back to Google, and I'm going to search it. Cage.dla.mil. Says it can't be reached. A lot of times you're going to have your security software or your firewalls or your virus detection software is going to tell you government websites are not safe. They are. It's just that they don't have the right type of security built into them like we're used to today, because some of these sites have been around for a long time. So this is the actual site. I'm going to click it and go to it. I'm going to search an inquiry. I have to agree to the terms and conditions. I'm going to put in their DUNS number right here and search. There's Brown Helicopter. Click details, and it's going to give me a name and a phone number, Mike McCormack, and there's his phone number. Now, Mike might not be the guy I need to speak to work with them as a subcontractor, but Mike should know who to refer me to. Mike could be the CEO. He could be the sales manager. He could be the secretary of the CEO. Mike could be the guy in accounting who cut the check to pay us to register his company. He might not be the person to talk to, but he should know who to refer us to. So the approach I would take with Mike, I would call his number. I would have the information on the award. And when I got Mike on the phone, I'd say, hey, Mike, this is John Wayne, USFCR. Listen, I see you guys won that contract with the DLA for $33,000. Not a big one, but, you know, they add up. Congratulations, man. You guys deserve it. And then I shut up. I don't say a word. I say that one little phrase right there. Hey, Mike, I see you guys were awarded that contract. You were working with Dondre Liggins over there with the DLA, and you won that contract. You know, only $33,000, not a big one, but they add up. Congratulations, man. You guys deserve it. And then I don't say a word, because the first thing he's typically going to do is he's going to say, thanks, man. Yeah, we worked really hard on that one, and blah, 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 blah. He's going to talk. He's going to give me a little information when he talks, maybe a little information on how to get him to go my way, maybe a little bit of information I can use to my advantage, make me favorable. More than likely, at some point, he's going to say, but yeah, but you know, we'll be able to do it, but you know, but thank you. So who are you again? And that's when I go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm John Wayne, I'm with USFCR. We wanted to know, you know, we're a small business, woman, minority owned, and we do blah, blah, blah. quick 10, 15-second elevator pitch. We just wanted to know what we could do to work for you guys as a subcontractor. What can we do to earn your business? And again, don't say a word. Let them talk. He's either going to refer you to the right person to speak to. More than likely, if they're a big enough company, he's going to refer you to someone called an SBLO. SBLO stands for Small Business Liaison Officer. It's on your list of acronyms. If I never sent you the list of acronyms, just remind me and I'll send it to you. It's not a problem. The Small Business Liaison Officer is typically the person who's responsible for hiring small businesses. Large contractors that do large government contracts, any contract over $650,000, more than likely there's a clause in that contract that they have to hire 23% small businesses to do work for them as a sub, or they could actually lose the contract. So big companies that do a lot of government work are almost always looking for small businesses to work with. It's not like you're going to ask them if you can do sub work and they're going to say, no, why would we work with you? These guys are interested in meeting new businesses all the time because they have to meet that criteria, that 23% they have to sub out. The system, when they hire you as a small business, they're going to post the money that they pay you in a system to prove that they're meeting that criteria, just like purchasing agents have to post you in FPDS to prove they're hiring women, minorities, veterans, AA, etc. The system that the SBLO is going to post you in is a system called the ESRS. Stands for Electronic Subcontract Reporting System. It's also on your list of acronyms, and that's the system that they show that they're hiring small businesses. Now, when you talk to this guy, Jeff, up front, and he refers you to the SBLO, when you contact the SBLO, you're going to take the same approach. You're going to say, hey, I've seen you guys awarded, you guys recently won that blah, 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 or maybe even take their DUNS number and go into FPDS, and instead of talking about that little contract for $33,000, we can post their DUNS number in FPDS, and we can see that by date signed right here, that they also won a couple of them for $9,000, $5,000, a couple of hundred. So we can go back and say, hey, I've seen you guys have won quite a few contracts this year in the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 range. Congratulations. You guys deserve it. I know you work hard for it. We're a small business. We're a woman minority, blah, 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 and we provide these services. And I just wanted to know what I could do to earn your business. And again, you're talking to the SBLO, ask the question and shut up. But before you ask that question, all right, sorry about that, guys. What was the last thing I said before the audio dropped?
Before you ask your question.
Okay, so when you're talking to the SBLO, you're going to take the same approach, but just make sure you mention the ESRS in your elevator pitch in that quick 10, 15 seconds. We're a small business, minority woman-owned. We provide parts for helicopters. We specialize in blah, blah, blah. We've been working with Boeing for years, and I can help you with your ESRS requirements. I just wanted to find out what we could do to earn your business. Make sure you mention that when you're talking to the SBLO, because those are the ones that have to post that in that system. And that's pretty much the approach. Now, this particular contract that we were looking at was 10 to 25 million. So obviously, as a small business, you wouldn't want to take on something and try and subcontract it if it's completely outside of your realm or outside of your financial ability. Yes, there are companies that will finance contracts, but you don't want to take on a $25 million contract as your first one. Because anytime you do a job for the government, when you complete the job, they're going to judge you. They're going to grade you on many different levels. There's several systems they grade you in. One's called PPERS, one's called CPARS, and one's called FAPIS, depending on the type of work you provided and whether you're working as a prime or a sub. And if you take on a huge contract as your first one and you sub it all out and you don't do a good job, you're going to get bad scores, and it's not good to get bad scores. It's not good to get bad scores, period, but especially in the beginning. And the reason why is because some of these systems, unlike a regular inbox, if I put something in your inbox and somebody else puts something in your inbox and somebody else, well, my job is buried 3 deep now. So you have to go through their jobs before you get to my job. Some of these systems the government grades you in, they work just the opposite. When they put that first score up, that's the first score the government will hear from now on. That's the first one they'll see every time they go into that system. The second job you do is the second one they'll see, the third job, third, etc. So the first 3 jobs are obviously important. Obviously, it's important you want to do a good job, always. But having said that, the first 3 or 4 jobs are the ones they're going to see first. So if you do 10 jobs and then you make a mistake, that score is going to get buried, and it's going to average out over the long haul, so it really won't be noticed anyway. Any questions on subcontract work or marketing yourself to primes as a subcontractor?
Thank you, John.
No problem. Anytime. And, you know, that ties into how to actually actively market yourself, too. You don't have to just market yourself to opportunities you find on FBO. Anytime you find an opportunity on FBO, it could be an opportunity to create relationships. What I do when I'm working on a bid, first thing I do, add myself to the watch list, add myself to the interested vendors list. Then I go on the interested vendors list and I cut and paste everyone off of it into an Excel spreadsheet, because everyone on here is a possible opportunity to work with down the road as a partner or a teaming agreement or to sub 2 or sub 4. Now, for those of you that are just joining our training, there's people on the interested vendors list that have no business bidding at all. Marvin Heyman is not going to bid. He's not competing. He's not a contractor. He provides proposal writing services. So he's on here to market himself because he wants you to hire him to write his proposal. Anyone who doesn't have business types or NAICS codes listed more than likely is not a contractor. They're on here because they're selling something. Like Frank Riley, he's a bid protest attorney. And Marvin Heyman, he writes proposals. The reason why they don't have anything under business types and NAICS codes because they create these accounts and they don't create it under their DUNS number. They create basic accounts that they use to market themselves. And when FBO realizes that's what they're doing, FBO will block they'll delete the account, they'll block it. So every couple of weeks, every couple of months, Marvin Heyman and Frank Riley have to go back in and create a new account in FBO and start over because their previous account was blocked. That's why they have no percentages, types, or NAICS codes, because they're not. If they attached it to their DUNS number, they can only do it once. And once that DUNS number is blocked, they can't do it anymore. Reason why I have done NAICS codes and business types showing up is because I don't market myself in this database. Therefore, I never get deleted. I've had the same account with FBO for 5 years now. It's not. I don't want to say it's not that it's illegal to do what they're doing because they're not supposed to do it. It's in the terms and conditions that you're not supposed to use FBO this way. But there's no legal recourse that if they get caught doing it, they're going to be sued or get fined. So their only recourse is they have to create a new account every couple of months. And I don't know how these guys do it. They must have a team that sits here and does nothing every day but log into FBO and add themselves to the interested vendors list because there's no automated way to do it. And they're on almost every solicitation in the system. So again, just because there's somebody on this list doesn't mean they're bidding. Don't look at the interested vendors list and say, man, there's 15 people on here. That's too much competition. I'm not going to bother. Right now, 2 of these are off. That brings it down to 6. I'm not bidding. That brings it down to 5. These guys might be on here simply because they want to be notified to do sub work. That brings it down to 4. These guys, maybe they're bidding, and maybe he's bidding, but she's not. She's on here because she wants to be notified who it's awarded to do sub work. So out of the 8 people on this list, maybe only 2 or 3 of them are bidding. So don't look at that number and think there's too many bidders, I'm not going to bother. It doesn't work that way. The second way to market yourself, of course, when you're in FBO, when you're bidding on something, you might as well copy those people to a list that you can use later. Also, the purchasing agent at the bottom. These people are people you can market yourself to from time to time. Don't call them every month, maybe every 6 months or something like that. Doesn't hurt to call Bridget, hit her with your elevator pitch, or call Michelle, hit them with your elevator pitch and introduce yourself. Let them know you're registered for Simplified Acquisitions. And, you know, if you could ever do anything to help them, you'd like to know what you could do to earn their business. Doesn't hurt to call purchasing agents and introduce yourself and market yourself that way as well. You're going to find when it comes to marketing yourself to primes, they're going to be more receptive, especially if they're big and they have to hire subs. You're going to find that when marketing yourself to federal purchasing agents, they're going to be one end of the spectrum or the other. They're either going to be really receptive, they're going to be glad you called, they're going to ask you to email, they're going to ask you to follow up. They might even have work for you. I've seen it where people called the purchasing agent, introduced themselves, and the guy said, you know what, I was just about to make a purchase, and I'm looking for somebody right now that can do this. If you can do it, you can have it. I'll do it as a simplified acquisition. I'll even pay you up front. That happens. But if you make enough of those phone calls, you'll find work that way. But you're going to run into people when you call them, federal purchasing agents, that are going to say, look, you can't call me and I'm going to give you work. Doesn't work that way. I don't do business that way. Everything I award goes out for bid through FBO. So don't call me, don't email me, don't bother me. You're wasting your time. That's fine. You're going to run across some of those people that they're not going to you're not going to make a benefit by calling them. Take them off your list. Delete them out of your list and don't ever call them again. That's all. Just don't get, you know, don't let it bother you. Don't take it personal. Have a thick skin. Just be glad they told you up front and didn't waste your time. Because the other end of the spectrum, you're going to call a purchasing agent. They're going to be real happy to hear you and positive, and they're going to ask for more information and ask you to follow up. So you make enough of those phone calls, you'll see. Some of the guys are going to be great. Some of them are not going to be so great. Another way to market yourself to primes is through FPDS itself. I showed you how to search brown helicopter, but let's just say you want to market yourself to companies that sell helicopter parts. Go in here and put helicopter. Search all the recent awards for helicopter. Search it by either what's been most recently awarded, so you know if it was awarded yesterday or this week, more than likely they're still in business, or search it by action obligation. Go after the biggest guys first. Even though this contract was back in 2007, if they did a $1 billion contract in 2007, they're probably still in business. And more than likely, they're probably still doing government contracts. Now, you want to market yourself to Sikorsky to do business for them as a sub? Simple. Take their DUNS number, just like I showed you. Go to cage.dla and search it and contact the primary contact, the POC. If you want to get in front of Sikorsky's purchasing agent, let's say you don't want to work for Sikorsky as a sub, but you want to know who Sikorsky sold to. You want to know the name of the purchasing agent that bought from them. Click the view link. Go into this specific contract and take the prepared user or the last modified user's code here. Copy that. You're going to love this. Just post it in Google and search it. Google will tell you the name of that purchasing agent. They'll give you that purchasing agent's phone number. They'll give you their real email address. Google's wonderful when it comes to mining information. Any questions about marketing yourself to primes or to government purchasing agents as a sub or a prime? Any questions on what we just discussed?
No, that was good.
All right. Yes. Can you hear me okay? Did you have a question? No? Anybody else have a question or a bid or proposal solicitation they want to work on today?
This is James Robinson.
Yes.
As far as trying to do some brokering between companies, would some of that work be in FBO, or is it? I see there's a lot in vet-biz, basically just to purchase equipment from supplier to the government. So is any of that in vet-biz ops?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to find a lot of, most of the brokers that I teach how to broker, that vet-biz ops is the primary location they get their opportunities to bid on. They'll go in vet-biz ops, they'll find something the government wants to buy, and then they'll reach out through Google or through the internet or through connections they already have, and they'll find a supplier. They'll get a quote from the supplier, mark it up 15, 20, 30%, and submit the bid. You know, if they win it, they'll have the supplier ship it directly to the buyer, so they don't actually. A lot of times they don't have to touch the product, and sometimes they'll get terms from their supplier, net 60. The government pays within 30 days, so they're not even out of pocket. So absolutely, yeah, you can market yourself through FBO that way as a broker.
The other question is, some of the people that gave me information to my supplier, they was talking about like 5-10% markup. Is that low? Would that be low considering?
Yeah, that's very low. My average client's markup on a contract that they've brokered is 15%.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen much higher. You know, some of you guys might have seen Rock Rim is one of my accounts that I taught how to broker, and his first contract he won within 30 days of doing my training and submitting his bid, and his markup on it was over 30%. You can see it right here. I mean, it wasn't a big contract; it was only $32,000, but he made 12 grand on it, $12,500 on a $32,000 contract, and that's profit because he didn't touch it. He had the fence post shipped directly from the supplier to the buyer, so his only time involved was submitting the bid and invoicing and making sure his supplier delivered.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, no, not a problem. I mean, average markup on, when I teach my clients how to broker, look, if you're not going to make money, why even do it? You know, if you're going to make 2 or 3%, unless it's a multi-million-dollar contract that you're making 2 or 3% on, which would make sense, why bother? If you're going to broker, make some money. Make it worth your time. Make it worthwhile. I want you coming back saying, man, we made $25,000 on that one. Let's do another one. I'm ready. I don't want you coming back saying, yeah, we made $2,200 on it, but we invested all this time and blah, 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 and, you know, it wasn't really worth it. Make it worth your time. Make it worth your while.
Okay. Sounds good. Definitely sounds good. Thank you for that information.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Anybody else have a question or a bid or proposal solicitation they want to work on?
Hi, John. It's Diana.
Yes.
I have a question. Okay, so I emailed you earlier. There was something that I had been trying to bid for. Well, I just started to look at it, and they asked me to go to the website, the Orca, and you said representation and certification application. What exactly do I need to do in order to? I'm not sure if I did it or not. I just want to make sure.
You don't do your reps and certs. We do that for you. The only reason why they're calling it Orca is because it's an old term. Orca used to be, all right, let me show you this way. When you're working on a solicitation and you got these documents and you see one of these documents where it's got like 50 pages of information and it's technical terms, it's 52.212-8, and there's 20 paragraphs, and you're trying to read it, and you're like, I don't even understand the wording in this. That's your reps and certs. It's what's called reps and certs, representations and certifications, FAR and DFAR provisions. Some people still call it Orca, which is what it used to be called. The reason why some of these documents have 50 pages of information on it is because back in the day, you were allowed to do your reps and certs manually. You could literally manually go through the document and check off yes, no, or you could go online and do your Orca, which stands for Online Representation Certifications Application. So all that was, instead of you doing these reps and certs manually every time you bid, you could go to Orca, do it online once, and it would be online from now on, where you would just have to download it and, you know, update it, keep it current and active and all that, but you could just download it whenever you need it instead of having to fill this out every time you submit a bid. Well, this is all part of SAM now. We do this for you. This is 68 reps and certs that you don't have to do every time you submit a bid. All you have to do is go to sam.gov, go to search records, pull up your file either by Dunn's or Cage or company name. I'm going to pull up my company by Cage, 5YMD1. There's my company. I'm going to click View Details. I'm going to click Reps and Certs.
Okay, right. I forgot about that. Sorry. Yeah.
And then download it. Right here it says Download FAR Report. All I have to do is click it and download it, and I include that with my bid. And that's what they're asking for. That's the ORCA.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if
you're an
exporter or if you're a manufacturer or if you provide installation and service, you might not just have a FAR report. You might have what's called a FAR report over here, and over here you'll have a FAR and DFAR. If you have both, download the FAR and DFAR. If you only have the FAR, then you can only download the FAR.
Okay. Can I ask you to look at a quick solicitation? I have a quick question.
Yeah, can you email it or text message it to me?
Yeah. Do you want me to do it in the GoToMeeting?
Sure.
I can post it here. Let me know when you get it.
All right. Did you chat it to me or did you email? Oh, here it is. This one?
I don't see. The one that's RF.
P03161?
Yeah, yes.
All right.
It's a really simple question, so I just want to make sure when I'm filling everything out, it's asking me, we're talking about hot dog buns and bread. When they're saying per unit, are they saying per unit per bag, or is it per unit literally like one hamburger bun?
Gotcha.
And I've read through every single thing that you can possibly, like every single thing that there was there, and I couldn't find anything that kind of gave me that information. I can call them, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's better to try and figure out the information on your own before you call. Because if it's in the solicitation somewhere and you call them, they're just going to say, you know, it's on page such and such, and then you look like you didn't read it. This is only 2 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you did, but it's their opinion whether you did or not. It's government contracting. Half the battle is the purchasing agent's perception. If they perceive you as the right person and they think you're going to do a good job, they'll hire you. If they perceive that even though you are the right person and you would do the best job and you have the best price, if they don't perceive it that way, even though they're not supposed to use their opinion to hire people, it's still their opinion's, you know, the strongest point. That's in the back of their head that's going to say yes or no. So this definitely not on this document. This is just the synopsis. So I'm going to download the second document. And I'm going to, instead of reading the entire document, I'm going to do a Control F and start searching keywords like quantity. No. Okay, I'm not sure if this document's searchable, so I'm going to put in the word the, and no, it's not searchable. So we're going to have to do this manually.
Yeah, it's on page 4.
So your unit is what it is that you're looking for. The unit tells us whether it's per bun or per bag or per case or per pallet.
They just say state, type, and package size on bid. So I'm not.
Well, this is saying fresh. So obviously
Right.
it's going to be, it's not going to be by slice. It's going to be by loaf or by case or by pallet.
It's a hot dog. So I'm just trying to figure out if it's a like, is it 6 per bag? Is that
Right.
1 unit?
Right, right. So I'm going to try and figure that out. Now, I doubt it's pallet. I doubt they're going to buy 40,800 pallets. So let's just common sense. Let's take that out. It could be by the case. More than likely, if I had to guess, it would be by the unit, by the loaf. So, but I'm just guessing at this point.
Mm-hmm. The last one is quantities per slice. So the last one, it said that. That's why I was wondering if the hamburger or like the hot dog bun is 1 bun. Because like at the last product, on the bottom it says quantity is per slice. Per slice.
That's weird. I've never seen that. That's mind-boggling. Because not every loaf, especially fresh made, is going to be the same number of slices.
To me, that's crazy. And I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I'm utterly confused. I have no idea.
That's not user error. That's the ludicrous statement. Per slice is ridiculous. They probably meant per loaf, and they just typoed it. So in this case, there is no Q&A.
There's an email I can reach out to the procurement agent. I'll email them. Is that okay?
Yeah, in this case, based on what little information they're giving us, blah, 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 blah. They're giving us a lot of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, in this case, don't call them because they're asking no phone calls. Right. I would definitely drop the question to them and just be real specific about your question for each line item.
Yep, and then the other one is just the way that they wanted it to be delivered. And on top, they stated that they want the schedule is delivery every Monday and Thursday, and then in their bid they said provide your delivery schedule. Well, if they're telling us that they have to deliver Monday and Thursday, why do I need to provide them the same delivery schedule?
Yeah, you're going to find. No, I mean, keep in mind, you're dealing with government purchasing agents. You're dealing with government employees. You're dealing with humans. So you're going to find mistakes. You're going to find discrepancies. You're going to find stuff that doesn't make sense at all. The only thing you can do if that's the case, make sure there's not a Q&A. Make sure that question has not already been asked so you don't look like you're not reading the documentation. As long as the question hasn't been asked and you can't find anywhere where they've specified in the solicitation, all you can do is drop them an email and ask them. Okay. If you send them an email and say the bid's due in 2 days, you send them an email today, you don't hear back from them by tomorrow, afternoon, you're not going to have a choice. If you got to submit a bid and you have to have that question answered, if they're not responding to you, you don't have a choice but call them. But try an email first. It's less intrusive. Secondly, a lot of times you're going to see this a lot, solicitations where they'll have a proposal that's due by a certain date. And the day before, they'll have your Q&A is like they allow you to do a Q&A or something like that, and they tell you the deadline for the Q&A is, say, 2 days before. A lot of times when they receive those questions, they're getting more than just questions from you. They're getting questions from multiple suppliers. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll post those questions and answers. They'll post that Q&A in FBO on the solicitation. They'll create an additional attachment. They'll make an amendment or a change, a modification, and they'll post that change or modification. And a lot of times when they do that, they'll extend the due date because of the modification. They have to give you a couple more days since they modified it.
Okay, great. Okay.
All right.
That answers
now they
my
might
question.
not they might not respond at all because the response date was today at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anybody else got a question about a proposal or bid or solicitation? Oh, if not, it's after 5 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting for today. And if you guys want to get on tomorrow, just send me an email ahead of time. Let me know you want to join. If you got a solicitation or proposal you want to work on, try and email it to me ahead of time so I can just pull it up and we can get at it. And if not, you guys have a good evening, and I will see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
All right, thank you much.
No problem. I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.